Hello everyone. As you can see, everything's looking very festive here. I'm right here in front of the Christmas tree and all the lights and ornaments. Wonderful time of the year. And right now, it's a very wonderful time of the day because I get to talk to you about Barry Lyndon, probably my favorite Kubrick movie. But before we get into Barry Lyndon, definitely take a moment, subscribe to this channel, hit that bell notification so you're updated whenever we upload a new video for you. And definitely share this video with your friends, your enemies, give it a like, and comment below what other videos you'd like me to do, what other movies you'd like me to talk about, what other TV series you'd like me to talk about, what other filmmaking tips and tricks of the trade you'd like me to talk about. I'm here for you, so ask away. All right, on to Barry Lyndon. So when I tell people that Barry Lyndon is my favorite Kubrick movie, usually they're a little perplexed. And the reason is that's not necessarily his most famous movie. It's not the movie that is perhaps considered his most innovative movie. It's not considered his best movie by any means. It's not his most successful movie by any means. When you think of Kubrick, everybody thinks of 2001: A Space Odyssey. They think of The Shining. They think of A Clockwork Orange. They don't think of Barry Lyndon. Now, it has an interesting backstory. So Kubrick originally wanted to do a movie about Napoleon. That was his big ambition. That was his pet project for several years. He tried to make it happen. Eventually, as happens in the filmmaking business, it fell through. He wasn't able to make it. But his consolation was to make a movie set in a similar time frame also in Europe. So Barry Lyndon was kind of his consolation prize. If he couldn't do a Napoleon movie, at least he could use that research that he did, all that extensive research, period research, use all of that to make a movie set during a similar time period. And that became Barry Lyndon. Now, the studios would only let him make the movie if he used one of the top stars. I forget exactly if it was the top 5 box office stars, top 10 box office stars in the title role of Barry Lyndon. Now, he kind of went around this in a tricky way. So recently, the movie Love Story had been released a couple years previous, and because of that bump, Ryan O'Neal somehow was in the top 10 box office stars for that particular year, technically, and by the numbers he was. And so he decided to go with him. Now, Ryan O'Neal never again made it in that list of top whatever box office stars, and he was not necessarily as big a star as the studio wanted. But because he was technically within that bracket because of that bump from Love Story and a couple other movies he did during that period, such as I think Paper Moon had been coming out, a couple other movies like that. He kind of had a very good period in the beginning of the 70s. And even though he was not as big a star as the studio wanted, technically Kubrick was within his rights to cast him. So again, that's kind of a funny little story about that. It ended up probably being his best role of his life. I know he just passed away recently. Ryan O'Neal did very recently, I remember. So again, this is probably, again, Love Story and Barry Lyndon are probably the two movies that he is known for. And again, this was really a great role. I mean, it's an absolutely incredible opportunity for anybody. I mean, any actor looking at that role, there's so many opportunities, so many things you can do with that role, and it spans a great many years. I mean, essentially, it's a story of a man kind of rising through the ranks of society. It reminds me a little bit of The Red and the Black by Stendhal, which is one of my favorite novels of all time. It was written during a different time period and a different language. I mean, Stendhal, The Red and the Black was written in French, and they're from different time periods. But I find such a similarity between those two works, at least in terms of the general idea of a man rising through society in those days and having to deal with, the military, the priesthood, all those kind of things. In the case of Barry Lyndon, it's the military. And in the case of The Red and the Black, it's more the monastery and the priesthood. So it's an interesting, there's an interesting dichotomy there between those two things. Now, the interesting thing about Barry Lyndon also is that Kubrick, he used these special lenses from NASA because he wanted certain scenes to be really shot by candlelight. And you can actually see the flickering of the candlelight and that nothing else is illuminating the scene, which is absolutely incredible. It had never been done before. I mean, heck, they don't even do that today. with all the advances today, they don't do that. But I just love those scenes where you can see the flickering candlelight on the faces, and you can see that really the candlelight is actually illuminating the scenes, which is absolutely incredible. I mean, it's certainly, I don't think that anyone can argue that this is his most beautiful movie. Again, Barry Lyndon is one of those that really bends the genres. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a tragedy. There's also comic elements, there's adventure, it's certainly an epic. And I really love how it, travels through society at that time. It's really a great slice of life of society at that time and what a young man had to do in society at that time to make a name for himself. Which in this case was through the military and rising the ranks of society. It's about deceit. It's about, true self versus the face you put on. So it's about all of that stuff, and it really is a great social commentary on all of that. And I think it's really relevant today. Perhaps not obviously so, but it's still relevant today because society hasn't changed. I mean, from the days of the caveman to the days of the Renaissance to the days of the French Revolution to the French Empire to the ancient Greeks, back in the ancient Greeks, I mean, society really hasn't changed at all in that time, in my opinion. I mean, human behavior is the same. We're still the same kind of people as we were then. It's just the clothes we wear are different, the computers we wear are different, or lack thereof. Sometimes we've written on stone tablets, sometimes we've written on paper, now we write on word processors. It's all the same at the end of the day. So again, it's one of my favorite Kubrick movies, perhaps my favorite Kubrick movie. I absolutely love it. So that's what I'd like to say now about Barry Lyndon. Definitely subscribe to the channel. Give us a comment below what other videos you'd like me to do. I'll read the comments, so I will get back to you. Hopefully, if you leave me a comment. I try to get back to people, certainly right now. So definitely leave me a comment below. And follow me on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, all the social media platforms. If it's a social media platform, you can find me on there. That's all, folks.